Good afternoon. I'm Sarah Jane Parsons, the director of the galleries at TCU here in Fort Worth, and I'm joined today by a very special guest. Our guest is Christie Blizard, the artist, here seen in a very particular costume as part of a project we're going to be talking about today. We're glad that you could join us. We're going to be premiering a new animation by Christie shortly, but we just wanted to take a few moments to have a chat and talk about the project that we're working on together that will see the light of day in spring 2021. So we're going to have a conversation about the project that we're working on that will result in an exhibition at the Fort Worth Contemporary Arts Space here in Fort Worth on the TCU campus in spring of 2021. Christie, before we jump into things of detail, tell us a little bit about your costume and what's happening today.
Well, this costume is based on a series of experiences that I've had, and I try to, in my performances and my video pieces and my sound work, to channel spirits that have crossed into the death dimension. So this costume is my way, kind of like an antenna, to try to reach them, and that they can work through me to communicate all of their information to the human beings.
Wow, that's a pretty huge responsibility you have.
I feel like it's an honor, actually. Like I'm really honored by it, and I feel very fortunate, and so I take it with a lot of. It is a lot to take on, but I feel like I'm so honored that they asked me. That it's a pleasure to do that for them.
Right, there's a real gravitas about
Yeah,
your demeanor today.
yeah,
And thank you so much for joining us. And I should tell people that when you're not doing what you're doing, when you're not making your own work and doing performances, you're a professor
yeah.
of art. You're an associate professor of art with a focus in painting at the University of Texas at San Antonio.
Yes, yeah,
Yes, and so you're in the so you're in southern part of Texas, even though really you appear like you're in outer space here.
yes,
Yes,
yeah.
this dual
Right.
condition.
Dual, yeah, yeah. I can try to live in both.
So I wanted to let people know about the project that we've been working on. We at the gallery we read about a historical event that happened in Fort Worth almost 100 years ago, which was that the famous tenor, the opera singer, rather, Enrico Caruso, came to Fort Worth and he sang. In fact, one of his probably last live performances, he sang at the Cowtown Coliseum here in the historic stockyards in Fort Worth. And this moment of history really struck me when I found out about this and started doing some research. And I thought, what a wonderful moment in the history of the city. Perhaps this is a moment an artist might respond to in a really unique way. And it was from that research that led us to Christie. And I had seen Christie's work at Art Pace in San Antonio, really fantastic installation a couple of years ago. And so had been scheming of a way to try and work with her for some time. And about 18 months ago, was it something like that? I think I sent you a speculative email that sort of said, hey, we have this idea. What do you think?
Ah,
And the rest, as they say, is history, and probably we'll make some in the spring. So really, this is what brings us here together today. And I wondered if you could talk for a moment or two about the conversations and research that we've had since then, and how your project is developing in response to this very particular moment in Fort Worth's history and a particular building, and
yeah.
certainly the idea of opera and
Hmm.
contemporary culture. All of those
Yeah,
things at once. Thanks.
yeah. It's gonna be so amazing to film my opera in the Coliseum, and to try to recreate at least a little bit of that moment of when the sound reverberates in that space in such a magical way. And so I've created an opera inspired by that moment that Caruso sang at the Cowtown Coliseum. But I'm also looking at experiences that I've had in my own life and using the drama of the opera and the medium of sound to try to push the limits of what we know to be real and what we know our lives to be. And so I think particularly the background of a rodeo and the background of Texas as a kind of stage for these events to play out, for me, have been incredibly exciting to pursue and to develop.
And we should tell people that maybe don't know that the the Cowtown Coliseum is used for all manner of public events and activities, but it's really known as a rodeo
Yeah,
arena, and it's a very popular tourist spot. But also, I mean, serious rodeo riding happens there,
yeah.
as well as concerts and other activities. And so it's a real place of intersection of cultures
Hmm.
that sort of happens in that one particular building.
Yeah.
And the story with Caruso is it was recorded in the newspapers of the time 100 years ago. We're coming up on the centenary. October 16th is the 100-year anniversary of when Caruso sang in Fort Worth. The newspapers of the time recorded it as having a crowd of almost 8,000 people,
Wow.
which seems really amazing to
Yeah.
think that you would have 8,000 people show up for an opera event in what was essentially a rodeo arena.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the story apparently goes, the folklore attached to this event is that Enrico Caruso showed up with his entourage and sort of had a bit of a fit and sort of said, I'm not playing here. I'm not playing in this dirty old cowshed or this barn or something like this.
Um,
And in actual fact, then started singing and found the acoustics so amazing and interesting that he
yeah.
did indeed go ahead with the performance. Now, I don't know if that's true, but but
Wow.
that's a nice story.
Yeah. Yeah.
Christie, would you tell us a little bit more in detail about the opera and some of
Yeah.
the characters and the performers in the opera that we'll see in the spring in your film?
Yeah, so it's based around the idea of a Greek tragedy. And so there's going to be three opera singers that function as the chorus. And so they will be narrating the opera, and there will be six different characters. And it's about a main character who lives in Texas, and this character is helped by three other characters: the cactus, the armadillo, and the tumbleweed. And this character is helped by those three characters through the passage of death. And so they have some adventures together before that happens. Um, they explore the terrain of West Texas a little bit. And then the character, unfortunately, is killed um, by another character. And then the main character is put into a very special machine that then transforms the character into a spirit being, or um, you know, someone from a different universe who comes back and then um, kind of communicates that death is okay for everyone.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Wow. This is a lot to get into an opera, but it seems like it's going to rise to the occasion of what might be expected from operatic performance.
Yeah. Yeah.
The drama, the mystery, the suspense.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And there's the way that I've been writing the opera is there's a lot of collage elements. So I work with a lot of electronic synthesizers, and so I'm going to be having the opera singers sound like electronic synthesizers, along with there's a Patsy Cline song, "Sweet Dreams," and then a little bit of "Islands in the Stream" in there, and then
Of course.
it opens with the Styx song, "Sail Away." And and there'll be some animal sounds, some Texas animal sounds in there as well. And different kinds of kind of post-production within the film, since it will be made for a film. So I hope to include a little bit of some stop motion along with some 3D animation in there in post-production.
Wow, this has been such a long project, and there are so many layers to it. And sort of thank you for talking about those in terms of kind of the production and the process side of things, which we knew it's always complicated to make a film on this
Yeah,
scale, and certainly when you're working with live performers or you're bringing together collaborators, things can be complicated. And then, of course, we throw into that mix the very serious note of a pandemic.
yeah,
And
yeah,
we should let people know that the work that you're doing is all very much socially distanced, and we're
yes,
using safety protocols. And but you are working with opera singers through Zoom and digitally,
yeah,
and we will be making the film with volunteer performers. Some students and local artists will be working with us to make that film, but we're doing all of these things under very specific
mm-hmm.
conditions, which is a whole other layer of restriction, or maybe it's also helping you think differently or creatively
Yeah, yeah.
in unusual ways, maybe.
Yeah, I was able to focus on 3D animation a little bit this summer and actually learn that. And so, because I do a lot of performances and because I haven't been able to perform live since the spring, that I've turned to 3D animation. And so that's been a really wonderful thing that I can now bring to the opera. And I hope after the opera to spend the next 6 to 12 months creating a complete animated version of it.
Wow, it's fantastic. And really, that's why we're here today. You're going to introduce us to this
Oh, yeah.
body of work, that the animation that people are about to see. Could you tell them a little bit about it before we showcase this premiere of this work?
Yes. So I recreated one of the characters from the opera. This is the cactus character, and he is kind of singing along with his voice is that of a synthesizer, and then there's actually Pavarotti's version of the song Caruso. Also in the animation. And so this is meant to just be a kind of teaser for both the opera and then the animation that will be coming next year.
That's great. Thank you, Christy. And just to remind everybody, tune in again in the new year and find out more about what's happening. But we're excited to be able to work with you on this project, Christy, and we're really delighted that we're able to showcase this new animation and give people a little bit of a sense what your film will be like, that we'll see as part of your exhibition next year. Thank you so much for joining us today. I feel like I'm keeping you from saving the universe in some way. I should like let you go and just
No,
superpower the day away.
no. We all do it. We all do our part. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Christy, and take care. And we will see you in the spring.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.